I did my work this week. Woo! And baby, I just got paid. Gonna go buy me a fresh pair of Gators with some of this money that I made. Male waiters on the radio singing about the whiskey. I think I'll go by the stove to get me a bottle so I can be ready to get my groove on the dance floor. Baby, baby, it's Friday, Friday, baby. And I'm gonna party, and get my groove on, It's Friday, baby. Oh, and I'm gonna party till the break of dawn.
By himself. Listen, Derek, you've thrown touchdown passes in Vegas before. You've been on fire. Have you ever been that hot in Las Vegas?
Not that hot. It's probably why I'm going somewhere else.
Nice. Nice.
Bro.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. We are still here in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl will be on tomorrow. Excited about that. It's got a little downtime on Friday. There's nothing going on as far as like any practices or anything like that. The last practice of Senior Bowl took place on yesterday, which was Thursday. So I guess this day is basically just kind of evaluating what you see or what we saw on yesterday. I made it here on yesterday for the final practice, and I was able to see a lot of talented guys out there. And it's kind of weird to actually see some of these guys up close, man. This is my first like media opportunity to actually go out and see some of these guys up close. And I got to tell you, man, the guys that you watch on Saturdays and how talented they are, and actually see that in real time is pretty impressive, man. Also, it shows you like how physically imposing like some of these guys actually are. And it also gives you the opportunity to really evaluate these guys up close. There's a lot of guys who end up, slipping through the cracks, if you will, because they don't get opportunities. There are guys that can raise their draft stock by some of the performances they put out there. Ty J. Spears, running back out of Tulane. Everybody knew how talented he was if you follow Tulane and you've seen him in a Cotton Bowl, but to see that up close, I mean, the guy is a very, very special player. Not only is he special by me just saying that, but he was actually awarded the offensive player of the week, or the most outstanding player of the week. He got that honor. So congratulations to him. I'm pretty sure that, he definitely elevated himself. Somebody is definitely going to draft him really, really early. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do on the next level. But we're going to be talking a little bit about that a little bit later in the show, and we're also going to have a little fun. I asked individuals last night on the last show that you get your draft, you get your draft list together. There's some mock drafts that you can actually take part in. Some websites actually give you that opportunity, and I asked that individuals do their own mock draft. But we're going to do it in real time. Like, we're going to do it in real time, folks. So later on in the show, we're actually going to use the draft simulator, and we're going to use that to draft some players for the New Orleans Saints, just to make the show just a little bit fun. All right. Also going to be answering some of your questions, and I want to say shouts out to everybody that is new to the channel. Hopefully this won't be your last time checking it out. We're extremely excited about the channel that we built. We're going into our 6th season here on the State of the Saints podcast. And we come a long way, man. We come from recording the State of the Saints podcast, on the iPhone, and now we're sitting out here in Mobile, Alabama. So anybody that says that God can't do special things, I don't know what God they're serving. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Derek Carr. Derek Carr, if you just joined the show, at the top of the show, I played a clip of him after he took part in the passing competition among quarterbacks in this year's Pro Bowl. And he performed really well. He showed his accuracy. If you follow Derek Carr, you know he's an extremely accurate quarterback. But Ryan Clark of ESPN, former secondary player for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he asked him a question. He said, have you ever been that hot? And of course, that Derek Carr response that has got everybody up in arms. And, well, I don't say up in arms, but got everybody talking. And he said, well, I must not have been that hot. That's the reason why I'm going somewhere else. And, of course, one of the teams that a lot of people feel that Derek Carr would be useful would be the New Orleans Saints. And we all know that the Saints head coach is Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen drafted Derek Carr, and they do have a relationship. And Derek Carr definitely still talks to Dennis Allen. So, of course, Derek Carr, one of the teams that they selected would be the New Orleans Saints, be that the New Orleans Saints don't have a quarterback as of right now, a quarterback that they consider a starter. So Derek Carr coming to the New Orleans Saints, and some people's eyes, might be a blessing in disguise. So the question is, should the Saints go after Derek Carr? Should they sign Derek Carr? It's amazing to me, and I'm going to say this, man, and it's not everybody. And I don't think I need to say that, because if you didn't say it, then I shouldn't, I'm not talking about you, and you should know that I'm not talking about you. But a couple weeks ago, I did a show, and I talked about Derek Carr, and Derek Carr would be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints. And you had a lot of people I apologize. My internet is just a little bit spotty, folks. I'm gonna try to see if I can actually turn down the resolution. All right, because the hotel that I'm at right now, the reception is kind of bad, so I'm gonna try to turn down the resolution. Hopefully, that fixes the issue. But I did a show, and I was talking about why Derek Carr would be a good fit, and people were saying no, and now all of a sudden, like, he goes to the Pro Bowl and he takes part in this competition, and then now all of a sudden everybody like singing his praises. Like, some of the same people who they feel that I didn't see them putting these comments out here. Now all of a sudden, like, they're on the bandwagon of Derek Carr, which I don't understand, man. Like, if I don't understand, like, why people have to see certain things in real time for them to actually buy in and believe what you're saying. And I just feel like if you don't do your research, if you're not looking at this guy for what he is, then I just don't understand it. I for the life of me, I just don't know. I don't know why that continues to happen. I assume, am I having audio issues? Can y'all still hear me? Can y'all still hear me? Because I'm seeing one person say that I'm having audio issues. So can you hear me? I want to make sure before I continue. Because somebody's saying that I'm having a little bit of audio issues. Okay. So So I don't know. Maybe, I'm sorry, Gunther, maybe it's your way, man. But anyway, man, I understand how we got to see things in real time in order for us to just start buying in. Like, the dude is already a talented quarterback. You can look at his stats. You can look at everything that he does, right? You can see that he's a good quarterback and extremely accurate. So why does it take a passing competition for you to be up here singing his praises and talking about you need to go to the Saints? I have absolutely no idea. Look, do I feel like if Derek Carr go to the New Orleans Saints, would that help them and they will have a better play at the quarterback position? Yes, I do. I do think that Derek Carr is underrated. I do feel like Derek Carr is a talented quarterback. But at the same time, I'm just wondering to myself, Can it work out? Can it work out in New Orleans with Derek Carr? Like, I look at Derek Carr, he checks all the boxes, but I am just, to me, it's why they're drafting Derek Carr. It's why they would be not drafting, why they would be signing Derek Carr would be my issue. That is the biggest thing to me. Why they would be going after him. It has nothing to do with his talent. It has nothing to do with his ability for the most part or leading the Saints to a Super Bowl. It's lazy. It's a lazy selection. It's lazy. And this is one of the issues that I have with the New Orleans Saints. They are continuing to try to find ways to try to build this team the way it used to be, instead of them actually embracing and embarking on a future where it doesn't involve trying to find a guy who coaches like Sean Payton, or trying to find a quarterback that throws the ball like Drew Brees, who makes more of Drew Brees' decisions more so than making their own decisions. This is the biggest problem that I have with this. And I just feel like they just need to get away from it. Like, seriously, they need to get away from that mind frame, because it's gone and you can never get it back. And I said this on the last episode. That is my biggest problem with the New Orleans Saints, that they just continue to try to go back to their old ways, and they're not realizing that they can't do it the way they once did, because you don't have those guys a part of your organization anymore. Now, if you was to sign Derek Carr, I'm pretty sure, you can work out a deal. We know about the $40 million price that he has right now, that if he was to get hurt, or something was to happen to him, he'll be collecting. That's one of the main reasons why they decided to sit him down towards the end of the season. And I just think that you can actually take that money that you're going to give to Derek Carr, and you can do so many other things with this, like build your team, like draft the guy. Like, I just don't understand it, man. Like, why don't you just draft your quarterback, your guy, and build them up, instead of going out here in free agency trying to find somebody that is going to be the next Drew Brees? I mean, I just, look, no disrespect to Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, or any other quarterback that's going to be out there. None of them, in my opinion, have the capability of putting a team on their back and winning, because that's what it's going to take at times. That is the biggest issue that the Saints have had last year. They didn't have a quarterback in Andy Dalton that can lead them through uncharted waters. They didn't have the quarterback to be able to take them to the next level when it was necessary. When it was time for them to make a play to win the game, Andy Dalton couldn't do it. And I just look at these guys. You got Derek Carr. I think he has like 14 game-winning drives, and that's great. But all I'm saying is, I don't see transcendent. I don't see franchise. I like for the next like 7 to 8 years, right? Because Derek Carr is like in his 30s, right? I don't see that. I just think that you just need to go out and try to find your guy. If you don't have that, like if you can't get Aaron Rodgers, why don't you just draft your guy? If you can't get a Tom Brady type or Patrick Mahomes type, like somebody that's going to be transcendent and that's just going to completely turn your team around completely. I just feel like if you can't find that in free agency, then go out here and try to draft your own guy. It's just that simple. And I just think the longer you prolong this situation, the worse situation that you're going to be in. So I don't have anything against Derek Carr. If the Saints were to sign him, I would embrace it. I wouldn't be mad at it. Derek Carr, there's nothing really wrong with him. But all I'm saying is, it's not to a point where, if Derek Carr signs on the dotted line, then all of a sudden, like, we just know for a fact that the Saints going to win multiple Super Bowls. And I'm not saying that if you draft a guy, it's the same thing. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, why don't you, just like you got a Marshawn Lattimore, just like you got a Alvin Kamara, just like you got some of these other young guys, and you turn them into cornerstone guys, why not try to do that at the quarterback position? And, I understand that the quarterbacks that they have in this draft is kind of top heavy. There's only a few guys, and then all of a sudden there's a huge drop off, and people always trying to bring up analytics about the percentages of what are the chances you finding a franchise quarterback in the second round or a franchise quarterback in the third round. All I'm saying is there's a guy that was picked dead last in the NFL draft, and he played an NFC championship game. Unfortunately, he got hurt, but he helped his team get there. All I'm saying is we seen a third round pick, in a guy like a Dak Prescott, right? People can say what they want to say about Dak Prescott, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's still a starting quarterback. A guy like Kirk Cousins, say whatever you want about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins made a lot of money in this league, and he won a lot of games for the Minnesota Vikings. So it's not like you can't find a guy late in rounds in order for you to help you get over that hump. And I'm just looking at it from what was said to me. All right. When people tell me certain things, I have to kind of switch up the narrative in order for me to be able to adjust to the way that they're thinking. When Mickey Loomis went to the podium at the last press conference that he did that we saw, he was talking about trying to get the salary cap back to the middle. That is what he said. He said getting the salary cap back to the middle. So how do you do that? Do you go out here trying to get a quarterback $40 million? No, you do not. Do you try to go out here be trying to extend guys for X amount of dollars? No, you do not. The Saints have an opportunity right now. They got some decent players. They got them veterans. They got some good locker room leaders right now for them to be able to go out here and draft guys that can be a part of a succession plan. You can go out here and draft somebody on the defensive line that can be the successor to Cam Jordan. You can go out here and find somebody at safety that can be the succession plan to a Tyrann Mathieu, right? You can find guys out here right now because you have the leadership, and these guys aren't just broke down and just so terrible to a point where you're desperate, to a point where you got to find their replacement. These guys still have something left in the tank, and if you do what you need to do right now, then you will have an opportunity to build your team, and you can find success down the line. But as long as they just continues to act as if they're oblivious to the fact that they need to go younger, that they need to try to draft these guys, stop trying to kick the can down the road, stop trying to, makeshift all these contracts, and let's really try to put your best foot forward. Because all I'm saying is you may have expectations for yourself, but nobody is out here right now saying that it's Super Bowl and bust for the New Orleans Saints. Nobody's saying that. Are you saying that? No. I mentioned that last night. Like, nobody is saying that the Saints are going to the Super Bowl. All we want as Saints fans, we want to see improvement. The problem is when we're not seeing improvement and they're acting as if there's nothing to improve. There is a lot of things that need to be improved, and I just feel like in order for you to get to where you need to be, in order for the Saints to be in championship contention, you have got to go out here and you got to make better decisions, and it starts with the draft. You got to pick, right? You got some draft capital because of Sean Payton no longer being with the team. Him going to the Denver Broncos. You have that. So let's take advantage of it, right? That's all I'm saying. Let's take advantage of the opportunities. Let's try to draft some guys and make them our guys, and try to get some coaches to be able to develop these guys into what you need them to be. Period. And if you continue to do the same things that you've been doing, we're going to find ourselves having these same type of conversations, picking early in the draft, and also just having these same conversations, what's wrong with the team and how we going to improve it. So hopefully we can go ahead and just figure something out, right? And if you end up getting Derek Carr, then that's fine. But all I'm saying is don't get Derek Carr because he has Drew Brees' qualities. Get Derek Carr because you feel like he gives you a better chance to win and he can get you where you need to be. Because if you feel like if the only reason why you're going after Derek Carr because he reminds you of Drew Brees, well, what happens if you can't build that type of chemistry around Derek Carr? Like, what happens then? Right? You'll find yourself in the same type of position that you've been in for the last couple of years, and that's not making the playoffs. So all I'm saying, if you can find something that you feel like you can build on through the draft, get a guy that's on a rookie deal, and you keep him for a couple of years before you even have to pay him. So if he gives you really good production, then you'll be fine. Like you think about guys like Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts is in his third year, he's giving you the production that you're looking for, right? He got the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. But you also want to know why the Philadelphia Eagles are in the Super Bowl? Not because the Saints are completely insane and just keep on sending them top picks and giving them opportunities to get there. Nah, I mean, that's a part of it. But it has a lot to do with the fact that you have young talent. And when you got young talent on rookie deals, you can go out here and be aggressive in free agency and bring in leaders and bring in veteran guys that they can go with these young guys, and it can get you over the hump. I mean, look at the Cincinnati Bengals, back-to-back AFC championship games. It's because their star quarterback, Joe Burrow, is still on a rookie deal. Now, some people would say, man, that don't work all the time, but I am a firm believer. I am a firm believer that if you're going to build a team, you need to build the team through the draft. Going out here signing a whole bunch of free agents is not the answer, because then you will have to evaluate and really do your homework about how these guys are wired. Because when guys start to get a little bit of money, I'm just being honest, when guys start to get a little bit of money, some of the things that they had the patience for, or some of the things that they were quiet about, they're gonna start speaking up. Because they feel like, man, I already got my money, so I can say and do what I want to do. And if you don't have a guy that winning is the only thing and that matters, then you're gonna have these problems, because now you got a guy that's on your books that's not going to give you everything that you want, and he's already complacent and comfortable because he already got his money. I'd rather give myself a young, hungry guy that wants to win and earns his keep. And not to say that the guys out there in free agency don't earn their keep, but I'm just saying they're a little bit more lax when you got a bunch of money in your bank account. All right, so let's try to build through the draft instead of trying to go out here trying to find a whole bunch of free agents that we think gonna change our world or something. I think that would be the best route, especially when we keep on having these same conversations about contracts. Let me go ahead and read some of your comments. It says, B-Max says, Carr is solid, man, and without D, he would have success. I mean, he would have success. Look, I ain't got nothing against Derek Carr. Like I said, I had a whole episode talking about how I feel like he would be a good fit with the Saints. But my thing is not my stance was, you get a guy like this because of his talent and his ability. But I just feel like the Saints would be trying to go after them because they're lazy. Because they're lazy. It's like they don't want to spend time thinking outside the box. They rather go for the same old song and dance. And they will be going after this guy because it makes their offensive play scheme, it makes make the playbook the same way it always been. I just want these guys to start thinking outside the box, becoming more creative, and actually step into the 21st century or modern day NFL. Because you see these guys, like, the thing about Andy Reid that I respect. Andy Reid has been around coaching for I don't know how long. I mean, I know Andy Reid has been coaching about as long as I can remember. That's all I can remember is Andy Reid being in the league. But the one thing I respect about Andy Reid is Andy Reid has never been like, oh, I'm 60 some odd years old, I ain't gonna change my stripes. You see Andy Reid always coming up with new stuff and new creative ways to try to use Patrick Mahomes, to try to use Nico Harmon. When Tyreek Hill was there, he was trying to use him. He had Travis Kelce and using him in all different types of ways. He got the running back, I can't think of his name, but Isaiah Pasco or whatever his name. I'm sorry, man. I apologize. I forgot his name, but y'all know I'm talking about, the running back. But they find all these different ways to use these guys. And he's not just complacent with, oh, I did this with McNabb, I did this with Vic, so it's going to work with Patrick Mahomes. He's always trying to find new and creative ways to try to make his team better. And I think that if you continue to try to do the same things and try to get the same type of players because, hey, this is my playbook, so we got to find players that fit this playbook, then I just feel like you're sadly mistaken. You need to elevate yourself. You need to elevate your team and not just get guys because they fit a certain mold. That's what I didn't like about Sean Payton at times, because at times it comes back and it haunts you. It comes back and it slaps you in the face, because if one guy goes down, then who's the number two? You had one wide receiver, right? You had one wide receiver that can do a variety of things. He was your ex. He was the main guy. That was the the Michael Thomas, that was the Marcus Colston. And then all of a sudden you had, a guy like Joseph Morgan, Joe Morgan, who can stretch the field, Robert Meacham, who can stretch the field, a Robert Meacham that will stay in and block, just like a Traquan Smith. Then you'll have a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. That was the Tavares Cadet. That was the Darren Sproles. That was the Reggie Bush. That was the Alvin Kamaras. And then you have the power back. That was the Pierre Thomas. That was the Mark Ingram. And like all of a sudden, teams start to kind of catch up with you because we knew, oh man, here come Robert Meacham. I guess it's a streak route down the field. Oh, here come Pierre Thomas. Oh, here come a screen pass. Here come Tavares Cadet. Here come a screen pass. All I'm saying is be creative. And just like we can figure it out as fans, and some of us, ain't never played football a day in our life, but we know what's coming. So what these guys who stand up burning a midnight oil can do. They know you. They know they know your playbook. So all I'm saying is the Derek Carr move to me would just be lazy. It's a lazy selection. It's lazy so they won't have to work hard. Just as the same way they decided to go away from Jameis Winston and bring in Andy Dalton because it was easy and it was lazy. Because with Jameis, you really got to think about ways to become creative enough in order to utilize his strengths as an offensive weapon. Like that's the only way and the only reason why Jameis Winston did not end the season as the starting quarterback of the Saints. Had nothing to do with his ability and his talent as a quarterback. It didn't. It had everything to do with the fact that Andy Dalton was an easy read and it made things easier for them. And what has it gotten you? Taking the easy way out. What has it gotten you? It got you 7 wins, 10 losses, a disgruntled fan base with morale about as low as it's been since the 90s, and you still don't have a quarterback of the future. And you got your head coach, who at one time, believe it or not, around this time was being celebrated like he was Wayne Gretzky or something like that in the Smoothie King Center, to being a laughingstock among fans all across the country. So all I'm saying is, how about try something new? How about try something that's creative? How about actually going out here trying to take a risk instead of doing the same thing that you've been doing and trying to, live by WWSD? What would Sean do? How about, what would the Saints do? Right? Who are you? Is what my question would be. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be, the New Orleans Seans, or do you want to be the New Orleans Saints? Because quite frankly, man, I grew up watching the Saints, not the Seans. And that's what it's looking like we are, the New Orleans Seans. Anything that resembles Breeze, anything that resembles Sean, we want. If they rubbed up against Sean Payton, if they talk to Sean Payton, if you're a quarterback and you knew Breeze, you stand like Breeze, you lick your hands like Breeze. Like, come on, man. Like, get away from that stuff. How about be your own individuals? So what one bad game doesn't mean he can't improve. I don't know what we're talking about here. Let's see. Carr couldn't get his offense past the 50 versus us, and Lattimore wasn't even playing. Look, that's all I'm look. That's what I'm talking about. We take one particular game. And then all of a sudden, like, that's the evaluation process of a guy. Like, we got to stop doing that, man. But okay, because if that's the case, then that means that Tom Brady are pretty terrible, right? Because for the exception of, well, I can't even think of it. No game that Tom Brady played against the Saints in a Tampa Bay uniform, he was just super impressive. Probably for the exception of the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter of the last game he played against the Saints in Raymond James, right? If that's the case, then that means Tom Brady's slow. If that's the case, that means who else then played the New Orleans Saints? I think they knew. Look, Aaron Rodgers, I guess he's slow too. Because what? He only got what? He ain't even scored a touchdown against the Saints. So all I'm saying is we can't take people's low points. And we can't take those moments and just say, oh, this guy's terrible. Oh, well, he ain't good enough because they played against us last time and he threw 3 interceptions. So what? Like, that don't mean that he a bad quarterback, and that don't mean that he wouldn't be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints. We gotta stop looking at certain moments and start looking at things that actually matter. Like how do they perform during crucial situations? Like, what are the game-winning drives? Like, what are the moments that matters most? Do they rise to the occasion or do they crumble up like crackers? I don't know. You gotta see that. But and that's another thing I said at the beginning of the show. That's how we end up getting into these situations. It's because we look at Derek Carr and we look at the Pro Bowl games and we look at him, hit some mannequins with a football and throw the ball and hit a little tape or something like that on a rope. And then all of a sudden, like, he the best quarterback and we need to go after him. Like, we are straight up prisoners of the moment. Like, where's the real research, the stuff that actually matters, the numbers that you came up with, not just something that you just watching on TV and they showing his bright spots, or a YouTube video where it says Derek Carr's highlights, keyword highlights, right? Like, let's get away from that stuff, man, and start really doing some homework and not trying to sound like the smartest person. Like, we try so hard to try to sound like the smartest person in the room that we don't even really fully do our due diligence with nothing. Like, we just want to be the first person there that we want to say, man, this person got this. And then all of a sudden we want to put stuff up there just to validate it, right? If that's how you feel based on, okay, watching some highlights, then I can tell you I'm not going to take your word for nothing. But if you actually did some research and you put some highlights out there, then I would take your word for it. But just sitting up there just, look how accurate he was during the Pro Bowl games. Like, man, miss me with that, right? I'd rather talk about Derek Carr's analytics and how, he averaged around 67, 68% of his passes, how he sustained 14 game-winning drives, right? In the last 3 years of his career, kind of similar to Drew Brees's, first 3 years with the Saints. It's kind of, identical. If you want to use that as a compelling argument, I'm with you. But man, don't be showing me no videos of him throwing footballs at no mannequins at no Pro Bowl game. Like, seriously? Like, what are we talking about here? Oh, he threw the ball in the net. So? Like, who cares? Like, can he help you win? Like, what the Saints become better with him as the quarterback for the long haul, not just moments. Okay. I don't need moments. Like, you don't need moments. Moments are not going to get you where you need to be. Unless those moments are big playoff moments. And in order for you to get those big playoff moments, you got to have some big moments in the regular season. So all I'm saying is I'm not looking at no TV. I ain't looking at no YouTube videos. I'm not trying to do none of that stuff. Like, how can this dude help this team to be a better offense with him as the quarterback? Let's see, TJ, this your boy Casey. Yeah, what's going on, Casey? How you doing, man? I used to bug you all the time. Nah, I follow you and look to you, a true, reliable source of information. Most things you say actually happens. I'm actually interested in seeing how Derek Carr will work in New Orleans. I'm willing to give him a chance, although I think they should give Taysom a chance to start. He's already showed that what he's got. Well, look, Casey, I appreciate it, man. Shouts out to you, man. And, I just think with the whole Taysom Hill quarterback thing, I just think that ship sailed, man. Seriously, I think it sailed. I think we need to, stop. I won't say need to stop. That sounds too harsh. But I think we just need to come to the conclusion that the whole Taysom Hill starting quarterback thing is not going to happen. I don't think that Taysom Hill, rather it's with the New Orleans Saints or any other team, he's going to get a fair shot. Taysom Hill will be 33 at the start of the season. Taysom Hill, he has a lot of things that he has to work on to be a franchise quarterback. And I just don't think a team is going to be committed to a guy that's 33 years old trying to be a franchise quarterback. I just think that Taysom Hill needs to embrace the overall football player moniker about himself and get this money. Like, he's still making plays. He's still out there on the field. If Taysom Hill were played for any other team, nobody would know who Taysom Hill is. Seriously. I'm going to say that again. If Taysom Hill played for any other team, nobody would know who Taysom Hill is. Taysom Hill came to a team that was able to see the talent that they had in him, and they had a creative play caller in Sean Payton that was able to utilize his talents. there's only a handful of guys I can think of in the league right now that if Taysom Hill would have ended up on their team, you would have knew who he was. The reason why we're having this conversation about Taysom right now is because of Sean Payton. If it wasn't for Sean Payton, who was looking, I want to say at, I don't know if he was looking at Christian McCaffrey, brother or something like that, or somebody else. But if it wasn't for Sean Payton actually realizing and looking at Taysom Hill on that Green Bay footage, then nobody would know who he was. Like, seriously. Like, so I think he needs to embrace it. I think he needs to embrace the whole football player thing. I think that he carved out a lane for himself. With that, you had a bunch of teams out there that are trying to find another type of Taysom Hill. That's the reason why you see guys like Jonnu Smith lined up in the backfield. That's the reason why you see guys like Deebo Samuels lined up into the backfield, is because Taysom Hill carved out a lane and showed people that you can use these type of guys when they are athletes and true football players. You can use them in certain spots and you can find success. So I just think that the whole process of Taysom Hill being a starting quarterback is over. And I just think that he needs to finish out his last couple of years and just embrace that whole football player thing. Taysom Hill has made more money doing all these things than any other backup quarterback that I can think of. I guarantee you, like, if a guy's a true competitor, maybe not maybe not a couple of backup quarterbacks, but I guarantee you, if you ask any backup quarterback this, right? You ask, Teddy Bridgewater, you ask, some of these other guys who never see the field. You ask them, would you rather take this $14 million and sit on his bench, or would you rather take this $10 or $12 million and be used as a utility knife? Who would you do? Now, I guarantee you, if you're a competitor, you're gonna be like, man, put me on the field, man. You can keep the $2 million. So this dude is doing something that other guys wish they could do. These other guys just taking collecting a check. But let's see. Having the best running back and bringing in Adams and extending Waller and Renfro is failing. Let's see. Garbage failed himself. Oh, he said garbage. Okay, I see what you did there. Garbage failed himself. Well, I guess based on the helmet and everything like that, he's a Raider fan. So, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting fact. And, I'm always going to concede to people that actually follow the team. I'm always going to do that because we see it in sample sizes, right? But they look at it from the entire totality of it. So, there are some question marks, that people talk about. They talk about his toughness. They talk about, will you be hurting his feelings and when you are brutally honest with him, with his mental makeup, if you will. So there are some questions, but I mean, he has some good qualities as well. And my thing is, I don't think that he's a bad quarterback. I'm just asking the question. Like, if I sign this guy, would it be any different between me actually drafting a guy and developing him? Like, is he going to give me more than a guy that I draft, that I build up in my system, and I create a system for him? Will he be better or on the same level? Because I feel like this. If you draft a guy, you build him up, and he ends up being on the same level as Derek Carr, you draft him. If I go out here and I draft a guy and I develop him and he's still below the tier of a Derek Carr, then you sign Derek Carr. But if I can draft a guy and he can be on that same level, might as well go out here and draft somebody. TJ, I'll be happy to sign with the Saints myself and make $100K a year just to warm the bench. I think a lot of people would, but if you're a competitor, you want to play. Like, yeah, you're making money, but you want to play. And like I said, if you're a real true competitor, if you're given that option, you're going to take the opportunity to play, no matter what way the team uses you. Y'all don't need to pay $40 million for him either. I agree with that. That's why I'm looking at it, because the conversation is about getting the cap back to the middle. That's what was said to me, the middle. And you don't get the cap back to the middle by signing a guy that has a price tag of $40 million. Y'all slow at it if you think Carr won't help y'all win. Well, it's not about helping you win. Like, okay, if that's the case, like if you want to be real, if you have any quarterback that have any type of skills, he helping you win. You know what I'm saying? If you win a game, he's helping you win. It's more of a consistency thing and how long this can be sustainable. It's not like we can't treat this thing like it's just a quick fix, right? Look, having sustainable success at the quarterback position is imperative to the success of a team. Like we didn't have these conversations for 15 years. Like that's insane. Like I don't think people really understand how impressive that is. For 15 years, the Saints didn't have issues at quarterback. They didn't. So it's about sustainable success. Like it's not about 1 or 2 years. Like giving you 1 or 2 years of success. Because if the thing about it is, if he gives you 1 or 2 years of success, then after those 2 years, you right back in the same boat that you're in. So how much success are we talking about here? Are we talking about for 2023? Are we talking about for 2023, 2024? Are we talking about from 2023 on down for the next 7 to 8 years? Like, sign me up. Sign me up if this represents sustainable success for 7 to 8 years. But if it does not, then you might as well just draft somebody. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't want a guy that just gonna give me 1 year, tease me, and have everybody singing his praise, and then the next year you just fall off the map. Like, come on, man. Like, might as well just go out here and draft somebody. And speaking of draft, for those that just tuned in, we're actually going to be talking about the NFL draft. I'm out here live in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl that's going to take place on tomorrow. And there's some draft prospects out here. A lot of these guys, that out here may end up hearing their name called very, very early. And some of them are trying to raise their draft stock. There's some guys out here that really did themselves some favors this entire week for the Senior Bowl. But I said we're going to have ourselves a little fun, and I encouraged anyone that wanted to do this for them to do their own draft simulation, and we bring it to the show. But for those that have not done a draft simulator, haven't done their own mock draft, we're going to do that right now. We're going to do this right now here on the State of the Saints podcast. So I guess it's the State of the Saints podcast mock draft. So we're going to have a little fun. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that screen up, and we're going to do a mock draft. So as y'all can see right now, I'm pretty sure you can see it. All right. But the Saints have the 29th pick. You have some other teams out here. The Chicago Bears have the first pick in the draft, the Houston Texans 2, Arizona 3, so on and so forth. But we're mostly focused on the New Orleans Saints in the 29th pick. So we'll go all 7 rounds. All right. We'll go all 7 rounds, and we'll just go ahead and go from there. Now, some guys we probably going to have to look up. All right. Some guys we probably going to have to look up and probably see, where they stand and who they are. Because when you start getting deep down in the draft, you start to get a little bit puzzling. All right. So anyway, here we have the Saints with the 29th pick. They're saying that the New Orleans Saints need a quarterback, a defensive interior, or defensive tackle, and a cornerback, which I don't understand. Like, why would cornerback be a top priority for the New Orleans Saints? I mean, you got Alontae Taylor, you got Paulson Adebo, you got Marshawn Lattimore. At this particular time, you got Bradley Roby. So it seems like the Saints are pretty deep at the cornerback position. But according to this, the Saints need themselves a cornerback. Weird. But anyway, you look at the first round. Saints got the 29th pick due to the trade with Sean Payton to the Broncos. You got as the top pick, you have Broderick Jones, who I know pretty well out of Georgia. You got Tanner McKee, you got Antonio Johnson, you got Lou Musgraves, who I seen at the Senior Bowl. Really good tight end. Needs to work on his blocking a little bit. And you got Sika Ika, who I like. Some of y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all know who he is. He played for LSU before he went to Oregon. And then you have Andre Carter II, edge rusher out of Army. He's supposed to be drafted and be one of Army's highest drafted players, man, since probably since wartime around this thing. So who do I think the Saints need to go after? Based on this list, I'm going with Sika. I'm going with Sika in the first round. And the reason why is he's a big guy. You know, I think that, you know, he definitely, if you put him alongside David Onyemata, you got yourself something special, man. I mean, the Saints, we know that they took a lot of pride in stopping the run over the last couple of years, but it just seemed like they taking a step back. So getting a guy like Ika out there and putting him next to David Onyemata, if you decide to sign him back, I think that would probably solve your problems with stopping the run, because he's a big run stuffing guy. So I will go with Sika on that one. So that would be the Saints' first round pick based on this list. All right. Then we move on to the second round. We move on to the second round here. All right. Still need a quarterback, still need a cornerback according to this list. So what you have Tanner McKee, you have Will McDonald, the edge rusher, who I've seen out here. Eli Ricks, the cornerback. You got Darnell Wright. You got Mozzie Smith. You got Keely Ringo. You got Nathaniel Bell. You got Emmanuel Forbes, and so on and so forth. All right. So in the second round, based on this list, now this isn't what I feel. This is based on this list and based on what the Saints actually need. I'm going to have to pick and go with Darnell Wright, the offensive lineman. Now, I know his tag say tackle, but he has the athletic ability and the skill set. He has that ability and the skill set to be able to go from the outside to the inside. So you look at a guy like Andrews Pete. You look at the fact that Andrews Pete probably on his way out, and the Saints need to get a little bit younger on the offensive line and be more, get a little bit more athleticism. So I would say I would roll with him as the second round pick. Then you go into the third round. Now it's getting a little deep, right? Let's see what we got here. Okay, let's see what we got at quarterback. Well, lo and behold, look what we have. So we're going to go with Hendon Hooker, okay, in the third round. I don't know if Hendon Hooker, based on what I've seen and, people just talking with him, and I don't think he's going to last to the third round. Like I said, this is basically on this draft right here and what they have available. So definitely want to get Hendon Hooker. I think he's going to be gone probably in the first two rounds. I don't see him lasting all the way to the third round. I think they just have that on here because he tore his ACL. Not many workouts he's going to be able to take a part in, and they're basically drafting him based on some of these old draft, I guess these little mock drafts that they had and some of his strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. But there's no way that he's going to be available for the third round. So somebody needs to update on this thing. So, okay, now we're in round number 4, and I'm looking at the list right here. I'm going to go wide receiver. All right, because we know the Saints need some help at the wide receiver position. Let's see what they got. They got Trey Palmer, who is pretty good. You got Tyler Scott out here. You got Marvin Mims. A lot of talented guys, but based on what I know about these guys, they're a little bit on a smaller side. All right, so I'm going to have to go with my guy, Jonathan Mingo. Okay, Jonathan Mingo, 6'2", 225 pounds. He's a possession receiver. We know what Chris Olave can do. We know what Rashid Shaheed can do, but they're more of the guys that can take the top off the defense and guys that can kind of, do some things as far as the route running. You need a bully and a guy that can go ahead and get that 50-50 ball. And I think that Jonathan Mingo can be that guy for you. All right, so next we have the 5th round, and we have Rakeem Jarrett. We got Eric Gray. We got Jacob Slade. We all know, based on what the Saints actually need, we know that the Saints are probably going to be looking at the running back position, because you have Alvin Kamara, who's going to be out probably for, a few games because of the suspension, what happened in Vegas a couple of years ago. And you have Mark Ingram, who's not going to probably more than likely not be with the team anymore. So who do you want to select? Who are we going to go after? Based on how long you may be looking at Alvin Kamara being out, I'm going to roll with Kenny McIntosh. I'm going to go with Kenny McIntosh out of Georgia, the running back out of Georgia. The reason why I'm talking about Kenny McIntosh is because Kenny McIntosh can run the ball in between the tackles, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield, something that you definitely going to have to account for if Alvin Kamara is out for a substantial amount of time. So I think that would be a good fit. Kenny McIntosh going to the New Orleans Saints. And I can tell you, like what I seen yesterday, my goodness, that guy is good, like really, really good. So so I take Kenny McIntosh. All right, now we're going into the 5th round. All right, now we're going to the 5th round. You got to think to yourself, you know, what do the Saints actually need? Something, you know, maybe you can find something late. You know, I'm thinking about all of the things that the Saints actually need at this particular time. I think you need to start looking at, you know, what you can do in the secondary or what you can do as far as the pass rush. All right, now Jalen Redmond, who I see out here at the Senior Bowl, looked pretty good, you know. But I think about, you know, probably a guy that's maybe going to help you around the 5th round. That's going to help you probably on special teams or something like that. So let's take a look at the linebackers. Here we got Vontrell Miller, we got Aubrey Miller, we got D Winters. This is going to be extremely biased, but let me go ahead and go with Aubrey Miller. I'm being biased right here because he went to my alma mater, Jackson State University, man. But the dude got a lot of heart. He's a guy that, you know, when he gets his hand on you, you're going to go to the ground. I'm looking at mostly 5th round picks if you're going to make the team, unless, you know, something, you know, happens as far as like the draft picks or something. You're probably going to have to be fighting for a spot on the team through the special teams. So I think Aubrey Miller, you know, he's probably going to have to, you know, start out as a special teams guy. And I think they have a chance to make the team. So I'm gonna go with Aubrey Miller in the 5th round. Now we're gonna go to round number 6. Okay, so we got to think about what we had. We got our quarterback, we got the interior lineman, we got the wide receiver, we got our linebacker that can play on special teams, we got our running back, right? So what's the next thing we need to do, right? I think that we need to start looking at the defensive line. I think that we need to look at that. We need to look at who we have on the defensive line. You know, you're probably not going to bring back Davenport. Don't know really what's going to happen with Tano Passanio. I'm pretty sure you're probably going to bring back Granderson. I'm seeing some people saying cornerback or safety. I definitely agree with that. But I'm looking at it from an edge rushing standpoint. And at this particular time, if you start drafting pretty late like this, you're going with the best available. You're going with the best available and what you actually need. So you're looking at the list right now, and somebody said cornerback or, you know, defensive lineman. I like Isaiah Land a lot. He's a little bit on the smaller side. I think that anybody that gets him, he's probably going to be playing more of a stand-up, you know, like pass rush / defensive end, and he's probably going to be one of those special teams guys I was talking about with Miller. So I'm going to go with Darius Rush. I'm going to go with cornerback Darius Rush right here, okay? Guy is having a pretty decent Senior Bowl out here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with him. All right, so right now the Saints have 2 7-round picks, 2 of them, okay? So when you look at this, all right, we talked about, you know, the defensive line. We talked about, you know, some things that you may need to do, you know, in the secondary, which we already addressed. So when you look at this list right here, I mean, you got Jaron Hall. I mean, you already got your quarterback. So what are we looking at? You know, you probably look at the tight end position, Marshawn Ford. You know, you can look at Darius Davis, a wide receiver. You can go offensive lineman, you know, maybe, you know, or you can just, you know, maybe look at a player and maybe just be like, okay, let's go ahead and try to select one. But for this, based on need, based on, you know, what's available, I have to go tight end here. I'll go tight end. I think that you can, you know, you need somebody that's going to be able to compete, you know, at the position, and then we'll just go ahead and I really think that looking at this list, we haven't addressed safety yet. So looking at this, we got Daniel Scott out of California. We got Jordan Howden out of Minnesota. You got AJ Finley, who's not bad. I'm very sure a lot of people that watch SEC know who he is. But I'll go with Daniel Scott. I'll go with Daniel Scott, the safety out of California. All right, so here we got it right here. Let's see how we did, folks. All right, so we got a B minus. All right, so we got an A minus for Sika. We got a C plus for Darnell. We got a B minus for Hendon Hooker. We got a C minus for Jonathan Mingo. A D minus for Kenny McIntosh. A F for Aubrey Miller. A minus for Darius Rush. And then we got Marshawn Ford, a C plus, and Daniel Scott, a C plus. So it gives us a total of a B minus, which is a good draft, you know, borderline average. But I don't know, man. I think they look pretty good. Now I'm a little concerned about maybe like down the line, but like I said, I just think based on what you actually need, you know, you definitely want to be able to hit in those first 3 to 4 rounds, right? So I think that we hit with the Sika pick. I think that we hit, you know, with our second round pick, you know, with Darnell Wright, you know, even though they're saying it's a C, I don't agree with that one. Hendon Hooker, I think we definitely hit with that one. Jonathan Mingo, I think we hit with that one. I just think that when you look at these teams, I mean, I think when you look at this team and you look at the draft, I think they're going by what they feel the Saints need, and I don't think they follow the team like we follow them. You know, I really don't. I don't think that I don't think they follow the team like we follow them. I think we really know what this team actually needs. So with that being said, I think I like our draft picks. I like them. I like them right there. So now, if I was I'm gonna tell y'all based on who I feel, all right? Based on what I feel. Instead of getting Sika would be my first round pick. Now, if I couldn't get him and if he was available, I would go with Osiris Torrance, the offensive guard out of Florida. That would be my first round draft pick. My second pick would be Hendon Hooker, to be the 40th pick. My third round pick would be Jonathan Mingo. My fourth round pick would be Kenny McIntosh. My fifth round pick, I would still roll with Aubrey Miller. And you know, I'm not too mad at Darius Rush in the 6th round. That's a fine right there. So yeah, but I would definitely roll with Osiris Torrance, the offensive guard out of Florida, if he was available, which I don't think he will be. He's about 6'5", 245 pounds. And I think that he will be a really good replacement for Andres Pete. That's just my honest opinion on that. But that's the mock draft. Anybody did a mock draft that they would like to share? Feel free to put it in the comments. You ain't got to put all 7 rounds. You can just put like your top 3 and what your mock draft looked like. And maybe like once the Senior Bowl and all the Shrine games are over, maybe we can go back and we can address this again, and maybe it'll look a little bit different because you got to take into account guys are out here right now. The East-West Shrine game, I want to say it was last night. So guys have really stepped it up, have really, made some plays in order for them to, elevate themselves. So we'll see. We'll see, man. But I will say this though, there's somebody out there that I feel like the Saints should draft. Like if we talking about late rounds, if we're talking about, trying to like find like diamonds in the rough, one of my picks would be a guy that I feel like, somebody needs to bring this guy in definitely to compete. And that is kicker Jake Moody. Jake Moody out of Michigan. If you watched the East-West Shrine game the other night, he won MVP. and he was the Lou Garza winner. And we all know that Will Lutz has not been kicking very, very well. He been looking like a mere shell of himself. And I think that if you was to draft a guy like Jake Moody, I wouldn't be mad at him. I mean, this guy was out here kicking 60-yard field goals. I mean, he has a foot. And I won't be surprised if this dude end up getting drafted. But we know, like, if you're a special talent at kicker or a punter or something like that, you will be drafted. I think the Saints, if I'm not mistaken, I think they drafted Thomas Morstead. And we all seen what Thomas Morstead was for the Saints for about 10 plus years. So definitely that's definitely a position that they need to look at. I definitely don't feel like the Saints should be content with Will Lutz the way he been kicking. Like he looked like he got a little bit of the yips. So I think that Jake Moody definitely would be a guy who, the Saints may need to look at. Because Will Lutz, he looking a little bit suspect. I'm going to read a few of your comments, then we go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Says, does somebody here or YouTube have an issue of how we ask, how are y'all doing? Because it's the truth. Let's see, my top 3 would be Ika, and he's still there. Yeah, I think that if you need help in the interior, he definitely would be a guy that I'm looking at. Says, I'm a Raider fan, and I'm just on a live channel, and it ended. YouTube suggested I should check this out. Well, Raiders, I appreciate that. And honestly, man, thank you, YouTube. That means we actually doing something right if I'm in the suggestion box. So hopefully you enjoyed yourself, man. I mean, we're here on the State of the Saints, but I mean, we talk about other NFL teams as well, man. We got the Gumbo Pie Sports podcast that we do here as well, man. And also we do a couple podcasts. So, give us a listen to from time to time. I think you'll enjoy it. Like we're going to be doing the Gumbo Pie Sports podcast, probably Sunday. We're probably going to do it Sunday and talk a little bit about what happened with after Senior Bowl. So looking forward to that. Let's see. No defensive lineman in the first. Sorry, our front office can't draft D linemen lately. Yeah, but hopefully they can be able to find one if they get away from them same old trying to draft the NBA 6'6", 6'7" linemen. Instead of guys that as athletic and have certain levels of ability. Yeah, TJ, I think Will Lutz is on the downside of his kicking career in New Orleans. Yeah, I definitely think you need to bring somebody else in. I think that they may need to even draft a guy. If you can get Jake Moody in the 5th round or something like that, like you draft him. If it isn't Stroud, Young, or maybe Richardson, let's go get Carr. Well, like I said, guys, some guys get they get the little draft stamp and say that they're a sure thing, and they don't end up being a sure thing. You got guys that end up not getting the stamp of approval, and they end up being a sure thing. That's the luck of the draw. Sometimes it's just a flip. It's a flip of a coin. Sometimes guys are end up being everything you want them to be, and sometimes they don't. But I mean, any pick that you go with is a gamble. Any one of them. You just gotta trust yourself. I like Andrew Voorhees. He's a guard out of USC. Check him out. Yeah, but yeah, I like him. I know he is. He's a talented guy. I mean, I think the Saints definitely need to look at some offensive linemen. TJ, what's the likelihood we get Hendon Hooker? I don't know. Based on this front office, I mean, probably on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it about a 6. I give it about a 6. I give it a 6. But I look, we gonna find out. Like seriously, we gonna find out, because if the Saints make a move for Derek Carr, they're gonna have to do it pretty. Like it's gonna be pretty early. Like we are going to know what the Saints are going to do at the quarterback position and the status of Derek Carr before the draft even hits. So we may need to come back and get back to this question probably in a couple of weeks when Derek Carr is off the Raiders' books. How long do y'all think Tom Brady will stay retired this round? I think he's gonna stay retired. I think the reason why he came back is because he didn't leave on his own terms. He wanted to be the one to announce it. I think Adam Schefter jumped the gun. Was out there, didn't even get the guy opportunity to tell people that he was retiring, which, in my opinion, was in bad taste. And I think that's the reason why he came back. I don't think he's coming back. I don't. I don't think he's coming back. Not this time. Forget them picks. Trade up for CJ or Bryce. Yeah, in the perfect world, you can do that. If we're playing Madden, you can do that. But in the real world, nobody is going to make a trade with you and give away their first round pick. Their first pick overall. It's not happening. Glad you're having fun, TJ. Yeah, I'm having a good time, man. It's a little bit exhausting, to be honest with you. Been doing all the traveling and stuff like that. And, my body is not really adjusting to like, okay, I need to lay down and go to sleep. I tried to do that last night, and I talked to my wife and stuff, and I'm FaceTiming my wife and my son, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to lay down and go to sleep. And I tried to, and I laid there and I couldn't go to sleep. So I had to call my wife back. She was asleep. So I had to force myself to go to sleep. But luckily, probably like 25, 30 minutes later, I was able to. So, but besides that, man, I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. I like that tight end from Notre Dame. Dude could really help our line. Yeah, I think he can. Yeah. That dude a beast. I know exactly what you're talking about. Let's see, TJ, you think Stroud goes number 1? No, I don't. Unless somebody trade with the Chicago Bears. If not, then I just think that you're probably gonna go with Will Anderson. Will Anderson or Jalen Carter gonna end up being the first pick overall. Like, I can't see any scenario that the Chicago Bears will actually draft a quarterback when they got Justin Fields. Todd Gumnam, talking about the new assistant coach of the New Orleans Saints. Look, I don't have a problem with that at all, man. I said this, and I mentioned this on social media. You can follow me on Twitter at TJAY Jones 8. I said that, I'm glad that the Saints are going this route. Like, allow Dennis Allen to draft his own players, select his own coaching staff. If it don't pan out, then we know what it is. Like, I feel like if you want to use this excuse about, Dennis Allen, it wasn't his coaching staff, they just put Dennis Allen there. Like, okay, that's fine. But what happens when he brings his own coaches in? What happens when he's responsible for bringing the certain players in? What happens then? Well, if it don't pan out, then we all know what it is. Like, you can't hide the imperfections anymore. You can't hide, like, his shortcomings. If it don't work out and he's selecting all these coaches and making a team look the way that he wants it to look, and it don't pan out, then you already know what it is. It's him. So I don't have a problem with it. Let him sign whoever you want to sign. And if it don't pan out, then let's go in another direction. TJ, do you think it was a mistake for DeMeco Ryans to take the Houston job? Something feels ominous about that. No, I don't. I don't think that it was a mistake. Look, first off, that's a good spot to be in. Like, they have a top pick, not the top pick overall, but it's a top pick. And you also got the 12th pick in the draft. You basically, it's your team. Like, you can actually build the team the way that you want to build it. I think it's the best. Like, to me, I think it's probably the best situation that a coach can go to. Especially like if you just starting out. If you're just starting out, this is the way that you want to do it. You want to do it with an early draft pick. You want to do it with, some draft capital. You want to do it with a bunch of money, which they have. So they can go out here and get free agents. They can go out here and get guys to help the team get better. So I like it. I honestly do. And I'm happy for him. And I think that this is what he really wanted. He was the Denver Broncos' first choice. He was the Arizona Cardinals' first choice. He was the Houston Texans' first choice. So that tells you everything you need to know right there. He had options. And he chose the Houston Texans. It's not so much the Houston Texans chose him. So I'm rooting for him. And I think it's the best situation. And not to mention, he played for him. He played for the Houston Texans. So, I'm pretty sure he's elated. And I'm pretty sure you're probably gonna bring JJ Watt on board as a coach or something like that, for nostalgic purposes. So I'm happy for him. Yeah, TJ, if Dennis Allen don't win next season, he will be fired for real. He ain't got no excuses no more. None. D'Amico Ryans love Houston. It was his first NFL team, and his wife is from there. I believe they lived there in the offseason. Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. I know all about the Raiders. Stop testing my football acumen. Carr ain't no Kenny Stabler. All I know is, if I'm not mistaken, when you up here just talking about trading some draft picks or something like that, or some draft capital, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Let me go ahead and stroll up, because I ain't testing nobody draft acumen. But when you say some off the wall stuff like that, yeah, I am gonna question it. I am. Like, I can't remember exactly how the conversation started, but let's go ahead and try to stroll up a little bit. Oh yeah, I think when you was talking about somebody accuracy or something, I don't know, man, some of that magnitude. No, you were referring to the game where he played against the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders played against the Saints, and you were talking about he wasn't good because he played against the Saints and he ain't scored no points. Like, that's not a good enough reason, bro. I'm sorry. Like, if that's how you evaluating guys, then I am gonna question your football acumen, because that's not how you evaluate guys. That's not. So if that's how you doing it, and if that's how you gonna do it, yeah, I'm questioning you. And if that's how you based on guys having bad moments, and you're not looking at the 14 game winning drives, if you're not looking at the 68% completion percentage, and you're basically just going by some highlights, because let's just be honest, who's sitting up here? If you're not a Raiders fan, sitting up here watching Raider football every day, like so I don't know, man. But if you trying to convince me that this dude not a good quarterback based on low lights, then that's a losing battle, bro. And if you judging a guy based on his shortcomings, then yeah, I am questioning your football acumen. Let me see. Breeze threw interceptions in his last game, so he ain't a Hall of Famer. All I'm saying is, if you based in a guy's ability on some low lights, and you expect anybody, like, that ain't it. Like, we can't talk football. Like that I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You can't minimize, minimize a guy as a quarterback by bringing up his low points and not looking at like some of the things that he can bring to the table as a quarterback. People acting like this dude like Scott Mitchell or something. Like, Derek Carr is a good quarterback. Like, he may not be elite, he may not be top 5, but everybody can't be top 5. That don't mean you can't win with him. Who gonna sit up, like, seriously? Who gonna sit up here and say that we can't win more than 7 games with Derek Carr? The Saints can. I think so. Who can sit up here and say that? If he can win more than 7 games, then he better than the quarterback that we had this season. So I don't know. And like I say, man, I'm not sitting up here trying to badmouth Derek Carr. I'm not. Like, I just feel like if you looking at him and you feel like you can get some production if you build a quarterback through the draft, don't get him. But if the Saints did select Derek Carr, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad at all. Derek is better than his brother David. Yeah, yeah. But look, I feel like with David, I feel like he got the short end of the stick. That man got, I think, if rookie season, he got sacked 72 times or something. Like, it was something crazy. It was something crazy, man. It was something like insane like that. Let's see. The goal ain't to win 8 or 9 games. Well, that's the type of team that you are, bro. Like, who are you? Like, let's just be real about this. Who gonna sit up here? Who are you gonna select that's out there right now? That's available right now. That's that you know is going to be available, that you are confident enough that they're going to win you 10 or 11 games. Based on their abilities alone. I ain't talking about like on some Andy Dalton, like, you know what I'm saying, type stuff. I'm talking about a guy that can put a team on his back. I don't like, even with a rookie, even a rookie, based on where the Saints are drafting, none of these guys I'm comfortable enough to just sit up here and be like, man, he could put the team on his back. Nobody. Because guess what, folks? If the guy that can put the team on his back was out there right now, we wouldn't be able to get him because he will already be locked up for a contract. So no matter who you select, whether it's a rookie, whether it's Derek Carr, they're going to come. Notice what I said, and that's exactly what I'm saying right here. Aaron Rodgers is not for sale, okay? No matter what you're talking about. Nobody came out here and said that Aaron Rodgers is, is available right now. Ain't nobody say that. Now, Derek Carr is going to be available. He confirmed it. The Raiders confirmed it. Is what I'm talking about right there. So, no, Aaron Rodgers isn't there. Cut the TV off, bro. Stop looking at ESPN. Stop looking at Fox Sports 1. Stop looking at these guys sit across from one another and let them, warp your judgment. Aaron Rodgers is not for sale. Aaron Rodgers does this every single year. Every single year for the last 5 years, Aaron Rodgers been talking about how upset he's been, with the Green Bay Packers, whining and complaining and boo-hooing all over the place about how he wants to leave. Then all of a sudden, here he comes with about 35, 40 million, and he's shutting up. So no, he's not a part. He's not a part of the conversation. Derek Carr, on the other hand, the Raiders are confirming it. He's confirming it. So he's up there. If you want to talk about Jimmy G, let's talk about it. You want to talk about Tyler Huntley? Let's talk about it. You want to talk about Matt Ryan somewhere? Let's talk about it. But the rest of these guys, like, they are not available. So who else out there, like right now, that's available that you say, man, if the Saints sign this dude, they win at 10 and 11 games? Nobody. So every person that you select is going to be a gamble. So if you're going to go with Derek Carr, you got a chance of probably losing 9-10 games, or you can win 9-10 games. That goes with anybody. So that's the way it goes right there. Let's see. Green Bay not trading Rodgers. Exactly. Carr isn't an arrogant guy. He has played for a lot of bad Raiders teams, got sacked left and right. In the words of Keith Sweat, nobody. We need a Greg Jennings. Yeah, we do need a Greg Jennings type. But, Jarvis Landry was a Greg Jennings type. But, it just didn't work out. He had all them injuries. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is not – Lamar Jackson is still under contract with the Baltimore Ravens. They are going to franchise tag this guy. So, but if he's available, then I'm with you. But let's see. Oh no, I don't want Matt Ryan nowhere near these teams. I'm just saying, exactly. I'm just throwing names out there. All I'm saying is all these people that the scientists is talking about, the Saints are not going to touch. All right. That's that. Like I said, look, it sounds very intriguing, but I will be shocked. I'm talking about absolute shocked if Lamar Jackson leaves Baltimore. They're like, no way. Like, I could see like them stamping a franchise tag on that man before they let him go. Tyler Huntley definitely should not be an option. I like Tyler Huntley, man. I do. I like him. I like him. As a Raider fan, you can have him. Good luck. Better get a solid line, though. Hey, TJ, where did you think Lovie Smith will be the defensive coordinator next season? That's a good question. Well, they got a few teams out there that probably can use them. Um, yeah, that's a good question. Let me think. I know there's some teams out there that need defensive coordinators, but if they got like defensive minded coaches, well, the Saints need one, but I don't see that happening. He gonna want to call it. He gonna want to call defense. Chicago would be a good spot for him. Going back to Chicago, they need a defense. Houston would be another one, but I think DeMeco Ryans, and how he left Houston, I don't think that's a good idea. Tennessee would be another one. I could see him with that if they decide to go in a different direction. I mean, there's some teams out there I can think of like that he can go to, but my biggest concern is like, are they going to let him call the plays? And a guy with that magnitude, he going to want to call some plays. Lamar Jackson, I got one. Mahomes, same chances of getting both is 0. We just trying to be right at this point, man. Let's see. Hey, TJ, do you think, in your honest opinion, Sean Payton walked away and after he came back out to Denver, why could you get the same players that Denver have on the New Orleans Saints? Are you asking me, do I feel like he going to get some of these players from the Saints? Yes. Do I feel like Traquan Smith probably going to end up playing for Denver? Yes. Do I feel like Deontay Hardy probably going to end up playing for Denver as a kick return? Yes. Yeah, I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see some New Orleans Saints go to Denver following Sean Payton. I can believe that. I definitely can believe that. Hell, it wouldn't surprise me. This may sound crazy to some people, but it depends on the wide receiver room. Wouldn't surprise me if Michael Thomas end up going to the Denver Broncos. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm just being real. Like, I don't like Michael Thomas and Sean Payton may not have the best relationship in the world, but Michael Thomas know how his bread was buttered, and it had a lot to do with the way that Sean Payton was calling them plays. So, yeah, I can see that. I think you're going to see some guys following. Says if Traquan goes to Denver, praise the Lord. I can see Traquan Smith in Denver. Sean Payton loved Traquan Smith. TJ, what do you think about the first time 2 black quarterbacks are in the Super Bowl? We came a long way, bro. I think that's a great moment in sports history. I think it's a great moment. 2 guys, African Americans playing in the Super Bowl. I don't care who don't want to hear. Like, some people won't roll their eyes because you mentioning that. So what? It's a historical moment, and I'm proud to actually be able to have opportunity to see that. Back in 2006, I want to say, we had 2 African-American coaches, Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith, coaching the Super Bowl together for the first time in history. And now we catapult, some 17 years later, and, see the same thing. So that's pretty dope. I think it's a great moment. So I think that both guys are extremely talented. Both guys are responsible for their team being in this point. It's not like, there was a bunch of game managers out here and both of them just ended up in this spot. No, they're solely I won't say solely, but they are they have a huge piece of the pie why they team in the position they're in right now. Ain't that crazy though? It said, hold on, I want to read somebody said. Inevitable said Denver about to hire Flores. Ain't that crazy though? The crazy thing about it is you had Sean Payton about to go to Miami. Miami fired Brian Flores because they wanted to go after Sean Payton. And how crazy that ended up turning out that Sean Payton ended up being ended up getting traded to Denver. And if Brian Flores ended up being the defensive coordinator, my goodness, ain't that crazy? Like, you was gonna lose your job. Well, you lost your job. It was gonna lose your job, for this guy, and this guy ended up being the guy to hire you. So, yeah, he got an interview, real over rich, but we still can't get black owners nor enough black coaches. Yeah, I mean, but look, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but there's always going to be something that we always striving to try to achieve. I just think that sometimes like we need to just sit back and enjoy the moments in which that happen. I think that sometimes like we're so focused on what we don't have is we don't have the appreciation for what we do have. And at this moment, I just want to appreciate these two brothers out here about to play that game of football. Now, will this coaching situation ever change? I don't know. I do find it weird that the NFL consists of over 70% of, African Americans, and yet all in 100 plus years of football, we haven't found, a higher percentage of guys that can be a coach. I don't understand it. Like, how can you play a game at a high level, but you're not cognitive enough, you know what I'm saying? Like, smart enough to be able to coach somebody's team and understands the ins and outs of it. I don't understand it. But look, all I'm saying is, man, we it's a marathon. I mean, not a sprint. And moments like this, man, in the marathon, we gotta appreciate, these moments. So I appreciate the moment that we have right now. And finally it says he's a new owner. New owners tend to spend big when they walk in the door. Yeah, because they want to set the tone about how they want to create change. And also, it's more of appeasing to the fans. They want to let the fans know they fully committed to winning. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it, no matter where you are, wherever you may be. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Facebook.com, search The State of the Saints Podcast Network. And also you can check out previous episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. And you can also follow me on Twitter at TJAYJones8. I'm in Mobile, Alabama. I'm probably about to go hang out tonight, man. Hang out with some people that's a part of the Senior Bowl. I think they have a parade or something like that they have out here. So if you're in Mobile, look your boy up. Love to get with you, talk to you, and shouts out to everybody that I seen yesterday at the Senior Bowl. Man, it was nice to see people that support the podcast and show love, and I appreciate that, man. Thank y'all for making this podcast what it is. Thank y'all so much for your commitment to the show. Thank you for all the kind words. Thank you for the comments that you all put there, whether you agree or not. Thank you for expressing your views and your opinions, and thank you for everything that you do. And we're just getting started here, okay? So keep it locked right here to the State of Saints Podcast Network, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who dat?